Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt in Studio West. Over the last 48 hours, a great deal has happened on various international fronts concerning the United States. There are a lot of pundits and not a few Democrats who would rather see Donald Trump fail in his effort to negotiate a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia that is acceptable to Ukraine than succeed. And they are eager to drive wedges between President Zelensky and President Trump. And President Zelensky met today with General Kellogg because the shuttles diplomacy continues. By shuttles, I mean we've got J.D. Vance and General Kellogg going to see Zelensky and Europe. We've had Treasury Secretary Bessent go to see President Zelensky. We've had Secretary Rubio, National Security Advisor Waltz, and Special Envoy Witkoff go to see the Saudis and sit across from Lavrov and other Russian representatives of dictator Putin. The framework for any comment has got to be fourfold. So if you're going to comment on one of these four, you really ought to comment on all these four at the same time. Now, I am not a PhD in international studies. I went to the Graduate School of Nixon. So I had Stanley Hoffman as an undergrad. It's a name that some of you will remember if you're old enough. Lefty, smart guy. I read the Million Dialogues in college. Everybody does who studies international affairs. And it's all very well and good. Then I got to go to work for Richard Nixon in 1978 for almost 2 years, writing a book about the then Soviet Union, which included chapters on China and the Middle East. I got to talk to him most days of the week for a couple hours a day and write and go back and forth with him. So my graduate degree is in the Nixon School of Foreign Policy, which is everything is connected, and you'd better be aware of that at all times. There are three superpowers on the globe: us, China, and Russia. The worst situation is for China and Russia to be exactly what they are right now, the unlimited partnership. That having been said, here are the four principles you ought to take away. Putin is evil. He's a war criminal. But Russia cannot be defeated, because Russia is a superpower with thousands of nuclear weapons and now an alliance with North Korea that is providing fresh blood for their over-the-top campaign against Ukraine. Ukraine cannot win. We hope it is not defeated. We are trying to stop the killing, and I am not eager to drive any distance between allies, nor do I think it is wise for anyone to rise to the bait that they think has been thrown out there, because we really don't know what's going on with Putin and what Trump's trying to pull off. We don't. I believe that Rubio and Waltz know. I believe Kellogg knows. I believe that Witkoff knows, and I hope they get it done. That's reality number one. Reality number two, Hamas is evil and has to be defeated. They can't stay in Gaza. They can't stay anywhere. And Gaza itself is going to have to be occupied by somebody for a long time. Because if you saw that gruesome spectacle this morning, you realize that what we might have thought was an isolated outbreak of a deeply malign influence on 10/7 is in fact a metastatic kind of cancer for an entire culture. And some of those people no doubt had guns at their back, but it was evil. They have to be defeated. I don't think there's going to be a phase two. I know, and you should know, that there are probably 30 living hostages, and at least one American, Edon Alexander, is still alive, and we are missing 4 other Americans, Itay Chen, Gadi Haggai, Judy Weinstein Haggai, and Omer Nutra. And we don't have specifics on them. So America has very, very much a stake in this. And if Donald Trump was watching that this morning, he's going to be very angry this afternoon, as should every civilized person. Number 3, Iran is evil and could be defeated by their own people, by American and Israeli jets and maybe UAE jets over Tehran and other nuclear sites. I don't know how long that regime can last if they don't have the IRGC and their nuclear program. We cannot allow to be going nuclear. Everyone has said that, every president for the last 20 years. But Trump means it. And I think Trump will make sure that they don't. And then finally, and most importantly, China is our greatest enemy, our most powerful adversary, and they mean us ill. They want us to be, quote, an island off the edge of the world. The book over my shoulder, Tom Cotton's book, 7 Things You Can't Say About China. I don't often spend that much time with anyone about one book. Normally I'll do 2 segments, maybe 3. I did 7 segments with Senator Cotton. I'm planning them out over the week. But I want to make sure my entire audience knows that this book, look, it's not very long. It's only 183 pages. Well written, concise, the facts. Just the facts, ma'am. It's a Cotton book. And when he's writing about something like China and about how we cannot sleep on that threat, it's important that you understand everything that happens within that construct. Putin is evil. Russia can't be defeated. China is evil. They are our number one adversary, our greatest threat. Hamas is evil and has to be defeated. Iran is evil and could be defeated, and done so without the commitment of American troops. In that context, there's going to be a huge burst in defense spending. It's coming from Roger Wicker. It's coming from the House Armed Services Committee. Ken Calvert chairs the Appropriations Committee, subcommittee of the House Appropriations Committee. It's between $150 and $200 billion, I think. And Pete Hegseth is telling everybody to prepare a budget that cuts 8%. That's not because they're going to give the money back. They're going to reprogram the money. There are some things we need more than other things. Now, I was a little bit alarmed not to see the Columbia-class submarine on the list of must-haves. I was very relieved to see Secretary Hegseth say a lot more is going to go to Indo-PACOM, because that's the theater in which China intends its greatest challenge. And Virginia-class submarines, more of them, more quickly repaired, forward deployed, and a Navy that is up to that challenge. That means cuts in a lot of things, including the civilian workforce, which can't go to nothing. You need a lot of civilians to run the Pentagon. I've only been in the Pentagon 4 times in all these years. It's not a place in which I am comfortable. I know my way around the White House. I know my way around a variety of different agencies, the Department of Interior, OPM, EPA. I don't know my way around the Department of Defense. It's not my strong suit. All I know is how the White House runs national security policy, and they've got an honest broker in National Security Advisor Waltz. They got a great Secretary of State in Rubio. They have a young and energetic Secretary of Defense in Hegseth. Kash Patel's at the FBI. I hope he takes over counterintelligence very quickly and gets them refocused. The same thing that Hegseth is doing at Defense, Patel needs to do at FBI, which is to say, here are our priorities. We're going to do this. We're going to stop anything having to do with politicization. We're going to stop going after our enemies. We're going to stop lawfare against Democrats and Republicans. We're going back to crime fighting, narcotics interdiction, border security. There's a lot of money that Hegseth is looking to help secure the southern border because it's a national security threat. And I heard earlier today, J.D. Vance sit down with Mercedes Schlapp and say, well, listen to what he had to say. Cut number 1.
Everything the president has done on the border, we have got to empower him to do it, not just for a month, but for the next 4 years. And we've got to hire more Border Patrol agents. We've got to give Tom Homan and Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem the resources they need to secure the border. And just not to return to the border, but I think so many of our issues come back to the border, because if you take 30, 40 million illegal aliens, you take Medicare fraud, Social Security fraud.
Right
Why
there.
are we taking?
I want to underline that. First time I've heard an American official say that we have between 30 and 40 million illegal aliens in the United States. Let's assume a bell curve, which is present in almost every human activity. The 10% worst people are 3 to 4 million people. There are 3 to 4 million people we have to send back to their home. Now, there are 3 to 4 million people who are the best, and we don't want to do that. But the resources have got to go to the Border Patrol. They've got to go to Homeland Security. They've got to go to the DOD. They got to go to Tom Homan. They got to go to whomever is working on that problem and to the facilities to detain people humanely and to detain them for as long as it takes to return them to their country of origin. And the message has gone out, and it's been very effectively delivered from a variety of sources, and repeat 7 times. Don't come here, you're not getting in, and we're going to send you home. I want to start with the Chinese nationals, 50,000 of whom came over the border in the last 2 years of President Biden. We are only beginning to glimpse the catastrophic consequences of an absentee president who is infirm. But we've glimpsed it. We understand it. In the context of that national security square I built for you, it all makes sense.